What's up, Outliers? Calling in from Florida. We're on the mobile setup, so forgive the lighting, but I want to talk about two things today. We have the recent new filing regarding Roaring Kitty dropping his CHWY position, which you can see here. This is nothing new. We can kind of take a look and deconstruct what actually happened there. And then I also want to take a look at GameStop in kind of parallel because I had a pretty big move yesterday while I was traveling. And then I also want to look at DJT because I actually have on a pretty significant trade in here. We'll talk about the trade another time, but I do want to talk about the underlying itself and its movements. So first things first, let's grab this and let's take a look at this new 13G. So you can see the date that it requires the update, which was the 30th of September, and you can see now that he holds nothing. So the interesting part here, actually, I wanted to see, it doesn't say anything about the cat. I wonder why not. Do you make anything of that? Because the first time he had the joke in there of, I am not a cat. But this one doesn't, which I just find that interesting. I don't know if it actually means anything noteworthy or not, but yeah, so this obviously happened a little while ago. So let's take a look at 30 September on the chart and let's see what it looks like here. And it's for a couple reasons that I want to talk about this. The main thing is if we go to 30 September, which is right here, you can see this is very unlikely where he unwound his position, just because the volume is so low. But I think the broader speculation is that it happened in here-ish, about the 20th of September, and then he has a window that he has to provide an update on. So from essentially that point forward, though, CHWY's just been rolling over. And this just goes back to the fact that we can clearly tell the cat just likes to play around. He's just playing games. He's just trolling. He just picked up 9 million shares of a company to play around, have some fun. And he unwound it. It didn't, I haven't done the math yet. We could take a look on it during the GME stream this weekend. But it doesn't look like he did super great in there, right? It doesn't really look like much happened in terms of profit or loss, at least in terms of what he would care about. So it's literally for the lulz, which is hilarious to me. Now, this also is kind of interesting because if we take a look at GameStop, GameStop had a massive day yesterday. Of course, while I was traveling, it got active. So GameStop yesterday opened at 2083 and then it closed down at 2273. So a really, really significant run here. And today it's actually holding, which is quite fascinating. I imagine the news today from the cat dropping CHWY probably will impact this. That would be my underlying assumption, at least for a little bit, just because most people will make the natural leap out of CHWY. Maybe it was out of GameStop, maybe not, nobody knows. We'll be back in GameStop. We'll know if he posts another YOLO update what his new cost basis is, because unless he can time it perfectly, which would be exceedingly unlikely, we'll be able to see. So it's just a matter of time until we find out what ended up happening with the GameStop position while he moved over to CHWY. So not a whole lot of reason to speculate there. But take a look at the volume here. Even the volume on the 25th started jacking up pretty meaningfully before the 28th. So this is actually, I talked about this in the Discord, but I ended up buying calls that I thought were cheap a little further out in time. I think 15 April 25 is what I ended up getting. I want to say the 30s or the 20s. Either of those, I don't remember. But the whole idea was the position was relatively cheap. So I wanted to take advantage of it, and I saw the volume starting to expand. So I just put on a little bit of a tester position that now I'm just kind of continuing to hold because it's working. So let's take a look at GameStop options here. We still have 623,000 calls against 226 puts, so pretty massive call OI. I just realized I got a little thing on the screen there. Gotta get that off. And I mean, this just hasn't been super active. And I'm very curious if this will start to become a little more active in the next couple days or not, based on this new news. I'm going to keep a very, very close eye, because now that capital, we know it's already been rotated out, at least out of CHWY from the cat, we can see if he's doing anything back in here. The other thing is, I don't think the timing of him releasing that news on CHWY was inconsequential because he has a lot of opportunity in terms of what the window was for the reporting period. He had some time. So I do think that there's a little bit of purpose behind it, although a little early to tell what that is just yet. So volatility definitely has ticked up. Last time I looked at this, there literally wasn't anything even over 100. And now we see 111, 106, 100. So plenty of volatility in here. Really, really interesting stuff, I think. So we'll have to keep an eye on any big transactions coming through. We can see 32% of the transactions today were calls, and there was 188,000 of them. So that is people starting to get active again based off of the cat news, as I would imagine. And the OI tomorrow will become very interesting because take a look at this. The volume, 188,000 contracts, are literally for the 1 NOV expiration. So you can see that's good old 3 days from now. So people are jumping into these near-term options. We can also see in the 15 NOV, there's a little bit of build-out going on, which is interesting. All right, now let's take a peek at DJT. And I also have a position on in here that I entered into a little while back, just based on the movement. This was not cheap in terms of a vol perspective. It was actually quite expensive, but it just looked generally interesting to me. And now it's still holding over 55. This is a parabolic move. It's gone from 1175 essentially to 55. And it's done that from the 24th of September until today. So like a month. Absolutely maddening move. Take a look at the volume today, 167 million. And if you take a look at the 5-day average volume, it's 85 mil against, what is it for the 28, 51 mil. So just explosion in volume. For me, this is a highly speculative play that I actually have to update a couple candle alerts here. Because for me, I'm just following it up. I've already taken a pretty meaningful part of the position down on the 28th, and what's left now are just runners. There are things that I can essentially let go to zero if I want, and I still would be sitting on a very significantly sized winner in here, which we'll do a trade wrap up on it when it's done. If you guys are interested in the trade in DJT, let me know. Happy to talk more about it, but it's just in progress, so I don't know exactly where it's going to go yet. So volatility is 327%, 100% IVP. So absolutely jacked to the tits. And the call and put volume in here is about even. And I think this is people seeing this insane move, and we're starting to see people stepping in front of it to take it to the downside, because the reality here is that there's been no real fundamental change in the value of the company, the profitability of the company, what the company's doing. So this is generally pure speculation and a proxy for an election outcome, which we don't exactly know what that's going to look like just yet. Let's take a look at the open interest for. And yeah, exactly. So people are starting to play it more to the downside. There's 608,000 puts, 436 on the call side. And I have to be honest, even from my own perspective, I'm getting to the point where I probably will look to reverse the position not all too late, because there's also the unknown on how this is going to act if Trump wins, which right now he's favored, what this will look like. And because even if he wins, it doesn't magically make this company have different fundamentals. I think right now this is truly behaving as a meme stock with a lot of fervor behind it. And it wouldn't surprise me to see people trying to short it here. You can already see it's hard to borrow. So we'll have to do a little bit of digging to see just what the internals of it look like. But I mean, another what? Almost 10% day, 8 3/4. So massive move here. So tons of opportunity, literally options change with 450% IV. The only thing I would notice, people are coming in here saying like, oh, I want to sell puts, oh, I want to sell calls. The problem with selling options in something like this is you have to remember, if you're selling puts or if you're selling calls, those are still directional trades. People have gotten way too used to the if IV is high, sell, if it's low, buy. There's still a delta component to these trades. So if this thing continues to move crazily, it doesn't matter if IV is high, it's pinned at 100. Guess what? It can stay there for a while. When IV is that high, it means the underlying is moving a lot, which is not good for short single options with undefined risk. So something to keep in mind. As always, if there's anything you need, let me know. Be an outliner. I'll see you all later.